mission. And that is a compass. Missions are a compass when you're making decisions within your organization. Does it fit this mission? Is it hitting our North Star, as we say, when we're making decisions? And we're going to see how mission influences these decisions in the next couple of questions.
我来补充跟大家说一下，因为那个 AI 的翻译并不是特别准确啊，但是这个 mission 这个话题尤其是对我们中国营地界的伙伴们来说，还是非常重要的。就是对于从世界营地北美营地这一块，就是有很大借鉴价值的一部分内容。就比如说，在我们国际营地协会的这个叫国际营地主任课程里，它就是一个开篇的一个模块。就是我们经常会说，作为一个营地主任。最高的或者作为是我们这个前行方向的指明灯的，它就是叫使命、愿景、价值观。你所有的一切都是围绕着你的使命、愿景和价值观开展的。所以就是在此呢，我特别邀请我们今天的一个志愿者伙伴 Robert 钱老师。他因为他是在美国读书，后面又对国际营地整个的情况也是非常了解的。那个 Robert 老师来跟我们就刚才几位嘉宾讲的关于 mission 这一块，他做一个非常简练的一个提炼，然后再跟大家中文跟大家说一遍。
喂，能听到吗？
可以的。
哎，谢谢那个 Rose 老师的这个介绍。是这样，我大概简单的提炼一下刚才几位咱们专家说的这个关于咱们使命的这个他们是如何来做的。然后翻译我刚才看了一下，其实有一些还是比较准，可能有一些不太准。我大概说一下。Pablo 就是咱们这个墨西哥的专家说的，他说的，我就直接用第一人称了啊。我同意这个 Simon 还有 Jorge 前任主席的话。那么我觉得使命是非常重要，但是呢，我们的营地使命经常会是一种非常非常华丽啊，或者是我们说所谓的用中文讲，我们叫那种大话或者空话，或者是太过于的这个过于虚了吧，可能是。但是呢，我们希望把它转化成一个更小的一个目标，或者是一句话。所以呢，在他的营地呢，他的口号就是翻译成中文叫做我们享受激励英雄啊，we enjoy inspiring heroes， 我们享受激励英雄，无论这个英雄是个营员，是个导师，或者是营地管理者啊，我们希望能够激励他们能够在这个营地有一个非常好的一个体验和一起来共建这个社区。这个是 Pablo 老师刚才的分享。然后呢 ，Kate 老师呢刚才说这个他也同意这样的观点啊，我非常喜欢建设我的社区。可能一开始的话呢，可能很多人去营地是因为它的活动设置是吧？是因为它的地点啊。我想在我们中国也是一样的事情，可能会因为这个营地它的活动非常有趣，或者这个地方我想去是吧？但是如果我们希望营员能够持续的回来，那还是因为我们的社区的建设，包括我们使命和价值观的这种持续不断的这种灌输。我们必须有一个清晰的画面啊，一个共享的一个价值观，那我们这些营员呢才能够会留下来。那最后呢是这 Gaps 老师说的，因为这 Canberra 是非常著名的一个在加拿大的一个双语的营地，因为它在魁北克省，那大家知道这个魁北克是英法双语的一个省，所以呢Gaps Camp 呢，其实语言项目是非常非常出名的，就是法语的项目。但是呢，他说这个他们的一个指南或者他们的所谓的一个使命，是我们提供一个安全的环境啊，一个身体上和一个心理上的安全的环境，让所有的营员呢都可以找到真实的自己啊。这个就是 Camp Borrow 的一个价值观。所以因为这个呢，其实可能很多的营员他们第一开始来到这个 Canberra 是因为想学法语啊，因为毕竟在魁北克嘛，可能很多孩子都需要，说英语的孩子需要学法语，但是他们留下来啊，是因为他说的这个使命啊，大概就是这样，黄老师。
好的，谢谢钱老师提供的翻译啊。我们接下来也是这样，我们每一个小模块儿，我们的那个国际专家 介绍完了之后，都是钱老师来跟大家做一个提炼，所以大家也可以 AI 同步，然后再结合钱老师做的分享，能更好的去理解这个模块。Gaps?
Thank you so much. And we're going to go on to, and thank you, Robert, for translating. We really appreciate that. We're going to go on to our next question, which is mission-focused marketing. And we'll kick it off with Simon. Simon, once you're clear on your why of your camp, how do you begin shaping a marketing message that resonates with both campers and their families? And what are some of those specific things that you do when it comes to marketing?
Well, as Paulo said before, you have to be very specific because we have a very short span of attention from people nowadays. We basically are using videos, very short videos, 15, 30 minutes, seconds, no minutes, seconds, videos, where we show what we're doing. We may have someone speaking and also from different angles, from different point of view. So something that we're doing, for example, for the first time this week, we're gonna have an online, a live, not online, but live session with our council of wisdom. I will say something like that, like elders. These are the moms from the camp, and we're gonna meet with them to have some coffee and to understand how we should frame our message from now on. Understanding that we have different ways of seeing things. So what we're doing is basically trying to understand what kids like, what they enjoy, how they leave the camp, how they enjoy the activities, but also understanding what the moms want, what schools want, and what is the purpose they're looking for. So we try to understand that, and then we go to a video, to a message, to a picture that kind of captures this idea. It's not an easy question to answer, but we keep reframing the message so we can convey what the people is looking for.
Yes, lots of perspectives are important. And you're right, it's not an easy question to answer, but you did great. For you, Pablo, as you were talking about, you have a large mission, lots of description. You brought it down to a hero statement. How do you help families understand, what your mission, what you're trying to do within your organization?
Okay, so on our social media, in our social media, we like to focus our communication on how professional and cool our staff is. This helps us send a different message at the same time, or different messages at the same time, because we can say that we are fun. We also can say that we are professional. We also can show that we have protocols. We can also share that we are like a serious company, and of course that we love inspiring heroes. And it's also true that great staff can run great camps. So I think that while sharing personal details or the behind the scenes of the camp and the way we work with our staff makes a good way of promoting the camp without having to say we're a great camp, we're very fun. We do not use those words, but those are implied in the faces of the staff. And we do this also because, at least in Mexico, we try not to use a lot of images from the campers. We work a lot with the schools, and these schools might have some privacy, I would say, restrictions that do not apply to staff or are easy to go around with the staff. So using your staff to like the image of your staff to do promotion, I found it easier and less complicated than using somebody's son. So yeah, I would like recommend you focusing on the way you work with the staff.
I love that. And we also don't promote our campers during the summer, after the summer sometimes, but during the summer, it's really our staff that are highlighted and showing the behind the scenes, I think is so important. Kate, you've worked with many camps over the years, and you've helped them tell their stories beyond the activities at their organizations and their summer camps. Can you tell us some of your insights when it comes to marketing and promoting their mission?
For sure. I mean, I have been very lucky to work at camps that have been around for a very, very long time. I think all of them that I worked at are now over 100 years old. So they already have like a very established reputation. And honestly, what I have always found is that the absolute best marketing material was always word of mouth. So it was about making sure that the campers and the staff and the parents were having a very good experience at that camp. And then they would go out and tell everybody else just how great their camp was. And that was how we were getting more kids through the gate. We could put a bunch of time and effort into Google ads or social media posts or camp fairs, but really, truly the number one way that we were getting new people was by our current friends and community members going out and spreading the good word. If you do need to spend more time on social media platforms to spread your word, I think that obviously the number one marketing tip is always know your audience. But I would like to tweak that to say that it's not just about knowing who your possible recipients of your message are, but also who do you want to be receiving your message? Who do you want to be coming to your camp? And how are you speaking to them to let them know that your camp is the place for them to be? So going back to that mission, what is the community shared value that you want to have existing in your camp? And how do you talk about that in a way that lets people know, if you want to be at our camp, this is who we are looking for you to be, or this is the type of values that we think are important. Marketing is really about emotions, connecting to emotions. I really love the hashtag thanks to camp marketing materials for exactly that. I think that it's a really great way to show how people's experiences are at camp and how the camp experience is different from everyday life. And that's why you should come to camp, because it's different than what you're going to get in your everyday life.
Wise words. I'm not surprised, Kate. Thank you so much. And you're so right. It's what we do that's beyond the everyday experience. And getting testimonials from your family also trains your family to talk about your camp and the importance of the connections that they make within our camp. I love what you also said about who are you trying to attract. So within Camp Waro, we're trying to attract people that are excited for their kids to discover who they are. That's the type of people we're looking for. And when we get those people and we do our job well, it's a really beautiful relationship and success story when it comes from that. But I would agree that our number one clientele comes from word of mouth. And our rule of thumb is we try to think of everything before the parents have thought of it. So when we are communicating with them, when they have that idea, I wonder what kind of luggage I should pack. We already have, hey, are you wondering what kind of luggage? Here are 3 different options that we suggest for you, always anticipating their needs. It shows how we care for our campers when our families aren't around. I'm going to pass it off to you, Ruth and Robert.
大家也可以留意一下，刚才我们 ICF 的同事，Dr. 关他在评论区给了一个很棒的，就是工具，叫做 Thanks to Camp。那其实我们把它翻译成中文，我们叫营地力量，就是说营地到底有什么样的力量可以去赋能我们的孩子。就是现在我们整个市场上，大家在marketing 自己的产品的时候，都会特别强调我有多么棒的活动， 就是那么其实很多孩子参加活动，他新鲜感，他来一次，他后面可能就不来了。所以很多营地或者很多机构都在探索如何让孩子再次来，如何提升老营员的复购率，然后如何让自己的课程更加计划等等这些探索。所以刚才 Cat 他讲到一个很有意思的点，应该就是市场营销的一些科学原理吧。说其实营销更多的是牵动人的情绪，打动人的人心。所以呢，刚才大家如果比较早进入咱们这个会议的时候，我放了一个宣传片，叫做 Thanks to Camp， 这是我们整个国际营地协会拍摄的一个宣传片。当时也是邀请了加拿大的一个歌手，就是背景音乐是他唱的这首歌。那我们把它做成了营地力量这样的一个标签，大家可以通过那个导官他分享的这个 Thanks to Camp 的链接，把它存到自己电脑上，有空可以上去看看，就是都是一些可以直接使用的工具。后续的话呢，我们也会把我们设计的那个营地力量，就中文版的这个 Thanks to Camp 给发到共享到大家的群里。那么大家其实也是可以去使用这样的标签，不断的去讲营地带给孩子的成长和发展价值。它不仅仅是一次活动，一些新鲜的体验，它可能还有一些更深层次的东西，这样跟我们的 mission 去做一个关联。那现在还是请钱老师帮我们非常概要的提炼一下几位专家伙伴讲的内容，好吗？谢谢。
谢谢冯老师。其实刚才几位专家讲的其实都大同小异。其实总结起来呢，可能大家都提到的一个就是说口口相传，就是我们在市场活动当中最重要的是口口相传。刚才 Kate、Gaps 都说他们的这个第一的这个来源的客户呢，都是来源于这个家长的他们的这个互相介绍。我想这个在全世界都应该是这样啊，在中国也是这样。然后Pablo 分享一件事比较有意思，我觉得他说这个，因为墨西哥可能在这个包括可能北美地区对于这个小孩的他的隐私保护比较的关注，所以他们其实很少用这个营员的照片，他们更多的是用导师的照片来吸引这个更多的这个家长来关注，包括这个 Kate 也说，他们基本上所有的营地都在用导师的照片，尤其是在这个夏令营当中，因为一般在夏令营当中也是不允许很多是不允许去拍摄这个营员照片，或者有家长是不愿意去分享。这个也是比较有意思的一点，是可能我们和国际会有一些不同。然后刚才这个 Simon 提到一点呢，就是现在因为大家的这个注意力都非常的短暂啊，我想这个在中国更是这样，就是这个短视频啊这些可能更加的流行。那么像抖音啊或者像小红书啊这些这个视频可能更有作用。我想这个在这个委内瑞拉是如此，我想在中国更是如此。基本上就这样。
Thank you so much, Robert. So we're going to be heading on to our second to last question of today, program and positive youth development. Georgie, I'm going to throw this one to you. Can you share some of the most meaningful activities offered at your camp or other camps that you've seen, and how they've helped people build, how they've helped campers, young people build character? Because that's what we want at camp is for not only that they take the activity tools with them, that they learn these activities, but they're building character at the same time, and they can bring that back home to school and their families.
Sure. Thanks, Gabs. This has been a fascinating conversation. I'm learning a lot. One of the things that I've done over my many years is to have an opportunity to travel and to meet camp directors. And at various conferences, it often we come down to these chats about what we do at my camp. And after a while, I began to collect what I came to call camp traditions. What are those things that you do at your camp that if people from 1 year were to meet people from 5 years after the time you were there, you could still talk about those special traditions, those special events that happen at camp that remain in your memory. And so I began to collect these ideas, firstly from just a few camps, and then eventually from all across the ICF community. And it was really neat to see some of the similarities and some of the differences that exist amongst various countries and various cultures, but also the things that we have in common. The way that that first day is designed and structured in order to embrace campers as they arrive and to let them know that they are in a safe space and in a supportive environment. Sharing circles around campfires and last day banquets and special events and meals and floating candles at final campfires, all of these things in order to embed the experience in the camper's memory. One of the things that came up significantly, and one of the things that we did at a longstanding camp that I was at was really to provide opportunities for children to stand up in front of their peers and to offer their energy to try new things. You know, we often talk about risks and high risk activities. For some people, standing in front of a group is a risky activity. So creating a safe environment where campers can come up and present the weather report for the day or provide a skit that explains a special activity that will go on later at camp, or to do a recital in front of 400 people when they have never done that kind of thing before, whether it's dance or break dancing or musical performance. What I find is that the camp as a whole is incredibly patient and supportive of these kind of risky activities that children will step up and do. And I think it's deeply meaningful on both sides. On the side of the camper who is trying something for the very first time, but also in the community of camp that is supporting that effort by that individual. It's very brave on both sides, and it's I think a very important element. The other thing that we do at camp is group singing. I think the sense of belonging, the community of camp, is something that we want to always encourage. Rarely are these songs pop songs. They're camp songs. Many of them are novelty and goofy songs, but they're camp songs that really bring us together as a group. And those daily sing song, and they are daily. We virtually every day at lunch we have a group, a camp-wide sing song, and that all culminates in a final banquet sing song. Powerful messages come out in speeches and in those songs, and those memories then come home with the campers. All of this, I think, is an important part of helping provide an awareness in every camper of what is happening. Kate talked about thanks to camp. We want to give campers the language of the changes and the skills that they are acquiring, and getting that language through these meaningful activities, I think, is very important.
Thank you, Georgie. What I'm really hearing you say is it's not the what we're doing, it's the how we are doing that. And building connections and opportunities is at the core of it. Thank you so much. For you, Pablo, what are some programs that you've seen really highlight the mission of a camp?
Well, we have an advantage and a disadvantage, and that is that we work a lot with schools. So most of the campers that come to us for 3, 4, 5 days, they usually have a history together, and that history, sometimes it's a good history. They're very close friends and they love each other. sometimes the history is not that positive. So they might have some bullying issues, or they have some fights inside that generation. So it gives us a very special opportunity to do what Latin Americans find very difficult to do, and that is to talk from the bottom of the heart, or to put yourself in a situation where you can ask for forgiveness, or tell somebody that you love them. So we do an activity, and we normally do that on the last campfire of the camp. And we call this activity papelitos, pieces of paper. So basically what we do is that we give each camper 4 pieces of paper. One only says, I love you. One says, I'm sorry. One says, thank you. And one is left blank. And originally, the instructions were to hand that piece of paper to somebody in the generation that deserved it. So it gave you an opportunity to say sorry to somebody, to say thank you to somebody, to say I love you to somebody, and to say whatever you wanted to another person. And what was very surprising is that since the first time we did it, and this has happened every time we do it, receiving a piece of paper gave you another opportunity of using that paper. So instead of just giving your 4 pieces of paper to 4 people, those pieces of paper were given to somebody else. And if somebody said sorry to me, and I get a new piece of paper that says sorry, then I have another chance to say sorry to somebody else. And this has become a very traditional activity at King Camp, where the bonding is as pure as it can get, because we try to make it cool to use those papers and use them properly. There's of course a sensibilization before we do the activity, so that they take it seriously. And of course, we've had the whole camp to bond with the kids, and to see that camp is cool. And yeah, it has shown that those kids that do not like sharing their emotions, or that feel that they're over the law, come back to earth and hug somebody else, or ask for forgiveness if they have been mean to somebody else. And that really transforms their lives once they get back to the classroom, in just a couple of days. So that is very inspiring, and I like that activity very much, and I wanted to share it with you guys.
That's beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you, Pablo. And what a wonderful example on what just some time and intentionality can provide a child, time to reflect. And the action of writing it, of course, doesn't just impact them in that moment, but it will impact them, as you said, at school and at home. It's a beautiful, beautiful program. Thank you for sharing. Simone, can you wrap us up with, for you, some programs that you might have seen in your own organization or other organizations that help with connecting our campers and our staff to the mission?
Well, we have different programs, and the programs where learning can happen quite quick, when we can develop programs when they have experience. Those are the meaningful programs. I remember last year we had a program with height ropes climbing, and this 13-year-old girl, she didn't want to participate, and I say, well, you don't need to climb to participate. You can belay your friends, your classmates. You can take pictures. You can just give instructions. So she sat quite far away from the climbing wall, and then she started to come closer and closer and closer, because she saw different things. She heard. She wanted to participate, just giving some instructions, kind of recommendations, and then all of a sudden she said, okay, I wanna belay someone. And after that happened, she had a great day at camp. Whereas before she was not sure about the experience. So we need to be patient. We need to use a lot of challenge by choice, but we also need to convey, as we were saying before, what is our plan for the day. So if we convey the plan for the day, if we convey the purpose of the activities, is not just being in the activity, but also experience it, understanding it, it's going to be meaningful for participants. So she belayed someone. I had to ask one of the parents who was there with us that day to climb, because we didn't have any participants who wanted to climb again, because they already all went through. But she was able to belay, and she really had a great time. And the last thing that is very important, and why that was meaningful for her, because was the person who was leading the activity with her was another young woman, about 18, 19 years old, from our staff. And they got to connect because they were really close in age. And of course, there was a supervisor there. I was there as well, but they were able to connect because of the age frame. So this is why it's important to also have young staff at camp, because they speak the same language, they understand the world kind of in a similar way. So this is what I will recommend. Always have different age staff at camp, so participants, campers can, and also adults can connect with different people in the camp. So that's my 2 cents on this.
I love that, Simon. And what I love is no matter what, we're trying to get campers involved in the activity, no matter what their comfort level, respecting their comfort level. So instead of going up on the wall, we teach them to belay or assist belay. So we want them to just feel connected. And your message on having relatable staff around, according also to their age, is also a really valuable point. I'm going to pass this on to Ruth and Robert to sum up what you brilliant people have been talking about.
Thank you, Gabs. Thank you, guys. 所以呢，我来总结一下 ，Jorge 主席呢刚才说他在很多的地方，在全世界的不同地方见证了很多的我们说的营地的传统。营地的传统呢，就是在不同的年参加这个营会的营员都可以用一样的语言、一样的故事来谈论。那么有很多不同的东西，可能在世界很多地方是一样的。我想我们在中国也会有很多类似的活动，比如说第一天是吧，我们如何迎接我们的营员，比如说我们在点这个萤火讲故事，比如说最后一天我们去有一个聚餐，这些活动呢都可以很好的把这些营地的记忆呢植入到这个我们的营员他的这个脑海当中，对他有一个让他留下一个终身难忘的一个记忆。那么这个 Jorge 之前所在的营地呢，在这个加拿大这个安大略的 Camp Wingo， 那么他的营地呢有2个重要的这个活动，他提到的一个就是他会让营员在其他的这个营员的鼓励下呢去做一些演讲或者做一些音乐的表演。那么对于很多营员来说呢，其实这个就是已经是高风险或者说他们不太舒适的一个区域，但是呢，因为我们营地创造了一个非常安全的环境，所以对他们来说更安全了，所以他们也会愿意去挑战自己。那我想这个对于我们也在中国的营地也有很大的一个启发作用，因为我们的孩子们也有很多是比较这个我们说比较可能紧张或者比较不愿意去在公共当中演讲，可能这个也是很重要的一个提示或者很重要的一个建议。那么还有呢，一个就是 Jorge 说他的营地会有合唱啊，可能不是那些所谓的流行歌曲啊，都是一些营地的歌曲，一些可能甚至比较古怪的一些歌曲，但是他们每天都会让营地孩子们呢一起来唱歌，中午的午饭的时候，然后最后晚上的时候也会一起来唱歌。那么更重要的是呢，我们需要通过我们给这些营员的他们的一些共同的一些话题，或者共同的说营地语言，我们说他们的技能，这样呢可以让他们不仅从活动当中呢，不仅能够学到知识，更可以有一种跟我们说的这个能够有一种品格的一个塑造， 可以让他们更多的讲出，就是我们刚才说的一些工具，就是我们的 Thanks to Camp 啊，更多的有话题来谈，就是来到这个营地呢，我学到了什么，是吧？我感谢这个营地，因为我学到什么知识，或者我战胜了一个什么困难。OK，那么 Pablo 呢，他说这个比较有意思的一个分享就是，因为他们会经常跟很多学校合作，所以呢，其实很多营员都会互相认识。那么这个有好处也有不好的地方。好的地方呢，可能就是大家都认识，孩子们都认识，所以可能相对来说社交起来比较容易。那不好的地方就是认识可能会有矛盾的，对吧？这个可能会有一些嗯、吵架呀，或者打架的情况。这个我想在全世界都是一样的。那么他提到这个，对于拉丁美洲的人来说呢，尤其对于这个墨西哥人呢，或者很多中北美加勒比海地区的人，可能很难打开这个心房啊，告诉别人这个我爱他们。这可能跟这个拉丁美洲的历史，包括这个环境并不是太安全，尤其是在20世纪后半叶不太安全有关。所以拉丁美洲他们的这个现在的心理就是很多人可能不太愿意去诉说这些比较我们用中文讲可能比较柔软的一些东西吧。所以他们会有一个项目呢，就是4张卡片啊，给每个孩子4张卡片，一个上面写的是爱啊，一个上面写的是对不起，一个上面写的是感谢，最后一张是空白的。那么你可以把这个卡片送给营地当中的另外一个小伙伴，是吧？可以表达我爱你，可以表达这个我对不起啊，我做了什么事情可能不太好，是吧？可以表达我感谢你。那么更有趣的是呢，它这个卡片是可以流通的，就是你给我一张，我可能收到一张这个所谓对不起 sorry 卡啊，我还可以把这个卡给出去啊，所以这个整个的这些卡片呢，或者说我们这些感情啊，都在营地当中来流通。那所以这个他觉得对于这个营员的这个品格的塑造是有很大的一个支撑作用。那么他们发现回到这些学校以后啊，回到日常生活当中，那么孩子的表现呢也会更好一些。那最后呢，就是Simon 刚才提到的一个很感人的故事啊，他的营地里去年有一个13岁的小女孩在做高空项目的时候，可能不太想做，胆子比较小，是吧？然后他们会说，OK，你不一定非要做，你可以去陪着我们，或者你给我们做一些协助就可以了。然后因为大家都在做，所以他最后其实越来越靠近，最后他终于说 OK，我也要试一下。那么这个故事呢，其实告诉我们，就是我们在营地当中要有耐心，在我们的项目当中，因为可能很多时候可能并不是所有人都愿意去挑战一些难的东西。我们不仅要传达我说我们今天的项目是什么啊，我们是高空也好，水上项目也好，或者其他项目也好，更多的是我们能够通过这个项目能够大家在一起啊，能够一起这个分享我们这个营地的这个快乐。然后Simon 最后提到一点，就是这个13岁的小女孩和她一起这个最后成功尝试这个高空项目的是一个19岁的一个也是位女性的导师。所以呢，因为可能她们年龄相仿啊，都是年轻的女孩子，所以呢，她们可能更容易靠近一些。我想这个在全球都是通用的。所以他建议呢，我们在导师的选择当中在年龄分层当中有所区分会有一些更年轻的导师，比如说大学生，也会有一些更成熟的导师配合，这样会比较好。Okay, that's all. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate it. So we're gonna wrap it up with staff leadership and camp spirit. We've talked a lot about staff and the importance of hiring good staff. I'm going to start with Kate on this one, as I know she's very passionate about staff training. For Kate, how do you introduce new staff members to the camp spirit and values, especially those who have never experienced camp before, which is wonderful. We love having people that haven't experienced camp before because we can introduce them to our value system, but we want to make sure, that we have strategies that are put in place so that they understand the why of your organization.
For sure. So honestly, for me, this starts in the interview process right away. This was a trick I actually learned from you, Gabs, is that I don't try and sell people on my camp. I don't try and make it look pretty and wonderful and like this is the best experience in the world. It is the best experience in the world, but it's also really hard. It's a lot of hard work. And so I try and rip the Band-Aid off right away and say, I'm going to be honest with you about what's hard about working at camp. What are maybe the less glamorous parts of the job, so that if they're choosing still to work for me, then it's because they think the hard parts are going to be worth it. And then when I was a director at an overnight camp, particularly, one of the first sessions that I would try to run in staff training was about our mission and about the concept of intentional camp, which is a Michael Brandewine innovation. So we got staff involved in a highly interactive session to learn about what our mission was and why, where it came from, and also how we wanted them to incorporate the mission into everything that they did with their kids. We would also try to run an evening program relatively early on in the training period where returning staff members would share their personal stories about what camp meant to them and how it had affected them. And then new staff members could share, if they wanted to, about what they were excited about or nervous about or confused about. And maybe they already had questions about where does this tradition come from, or what's this thing that we have found on camp. And it was a relatively informal but curated way of the team to bond and share and sort of absorb the mission and why the mission is important, because these staff members who were sharing their past experiences and how camp had affected them, it was because they had lived the mission. They had really gotten the benefit of the mission of the camp. So it was almost word of mouth marketing from staff to staff to be a really authentic voice sharing the mission and values of camp.
Thank you, Kate. What a wonderful way to just kick us off. Georgie, for you, you've traveled the world visiting camps, supporting camp directors in accomplishing their mission. What are some key factors for you that you've seen, that you've picked up along the way to help new staff members to the camp industry to be able to absorb that mission and pass it on to campers?
It's a huge challenge, isn't it? Because in some camp communities around the world, they're relatively young, and so many of the staff that are hired to work at the camp, they haven't had the benefit of experiencing the camp magic as campers, to be at the center of the camp world, so that they are, all that love and magic is pouring down on them. And so it's difficult to comprehend how you're going to then give that back as a staff member. It's difficult to see past the program that you do. Yes, we're going to teach this, and we're going to be doing orienteering, and we're going to be hiking, we're going to be doing all of these activities. But what is the purpose for all of those things? And helping the staff grasp that is really what we've been talking about for this whole session, and the critical factor to a successful camp. Some of the camps hire international staff from other countries that do get it, but then there's the challenge of different cultures and managing their orientation into a new setting. So basically, there are two different challenges. One is the staff who are hired from within. They were campers and now they're becoming staff. And in some cases, they come back to camp because they want camp to continue. They want to keep living that. But as I say, as staff, you shift from being in the center to supporting the center. And so as those returning staff come, they need to change their lens, change their viewpoint, so that they get the fact that now they are giving where they were previously on the receiving end. Other staff who come are coming from the outside of your camp community. And as Kate has said, it's a huge, it's a steep learning curve to get them to an appreciation of the amount of work and the amount of value that comes from being fully committed to it. That steep curve, as Kate has also said, starts right at the interview in all the pre-camp communication. Camp directors and senior staff are needing to work at that process to help, number one, provide a realistic view, but number two, to provide a welcoming and supportive view so that you are so that everyone feels that they're coming into an environment where they can take those risks and give their best effort and be supported in that process. So first day greetings, sense of inclusion, that whole team building of staff training is really essentially a mini camp experience. Those staff feel that they are at the center of that staff training event. But the two-edged part of this piece is the campers are coming. And so as the staff team builds, we need to kind of keep a space in the middle where those campers that are coming into our care are really at the center of why we are building this team. And so the best staff trainings I've seen are those that are constantly reminding the staff that the campers are coming, that we are preparing for day one down the road.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Georgie. And Kate just mentioned that she's heard the shift of from me to we. And yes, creating that sense of belonging in staff training. I love that. Thank you so much, Georgie. Pablo, I have seen pictures. I have seen videos. I have heard the stories of your staff and other staff members coming together in sharing in the camp spirit. Can you give us a little bit of an insight on how you get your staff and your team gets your staff ready for the summer to welcome kids?
Yeah, well, we are a quite abnormal camp because we base most of our activities on competition, and that is quite strange. So we divide the kids into 4 different tribes that each have a color, and we pride ourselves of having a very, I would say, intense competition between those 4 tribes. And what we like to do is we like to fake it until we make it. So the first, I would say, couple of minutes or hours of our camp, we like to tell our staff that we're playing the domino game, and that if the first piece falls on the right direction, then the next piece will do the same, and then we will get a whole movement forward. And what we try to say there is that our staff have to be like very excited about every activity. So when the coordinator says that our next activity is this one, they need to shout, they need to be like very excited and ready, and that they will start singing their tribe's names, and it becomes like sometimes you feel like these guys are crazy, right? Because the camp has just started and they're so excited about competition. I don't feel part of it. But if the dominoes start falling on the right direction, sooner rather than later, kids are going to be into that too. And this, we do it with the staff also in what we call the onboarding activity. So once they do all the recruitment, once we do all these processes with the psychologists of the camp, and once they pass all the filters, and we go to the onboarding activities, we ask the old staff to treat them as campers. So you will see the old staff screaming, jumping, getting very excited about their tribes, and the new staff seeing us as crazy, as like what's wrong with these people? And then a couple of hours later, you see that we are all crazy, right? So what we like to say is that we're playing a game against those that are more apathic. I don't know if that's a word, but either the apathics throw the first domino and they fight for the win, or the joyful, competitive, and energetic staff get to fall that first piece of domino on the right direction. And basically, what we do is every time we do a camp, we play that game and we make sure that we win more than we lose. And that's our yeah, it's pretty easy. Fake it until you make it, and somebody will be right next to you and say, "I'd rather have fun as this guy rather than being cool and being bored." So yeah, that's our strategy.
I love that. And it's basically it's a group think mentality. So you make sure that you have key people that are energetic, that are excited. And they, in French, we say they're the rassembleurs, they're the ones that bring people in. And we want to do that for our campers, no matter what the program is. It has to be like the best program ever, and the staff need to be involved. So I love that energy. And like I said, I've seen the videos and I was hooked. I wanted to be part of Camp Kin. I'm going to pass this on to Robert and Ruth just to
I would
do their
just
beautiful
add
summary.
an extra
yes.
tip, Gabs.
Yes, go for it.
If you sell merch at your camp and those
Yes.
staff members use it, and then it also becomes a domino effect that people want to like look like them, and they will buy the hat and they will buy the rest of the of the merch. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, so having merch does create some camp spirit, as well as sometimes returning staff members will have a lot of merch and new staff members won't. At our camp, we pretty much gift old merchandise. It's still good merchandise. It's just from previous years, to our new staff members so they can choose which ones they want. And we make sure they have merchandise. So then you can't tell if they're brand new staff. They might have a shirt from 2 years ago that's just still a very cool shirt, or a hat, or a water bottle. But we want to make sure that they feel proud of our camp. And so for our new staff members, they have access to our shop first, and they get first picks, and we gift it to them a certain amount of items. So I love that idea. Robert and Ruth, why don't you do your wonderful sum up?
Thank you guys. It was just so inspiring. Okay, we'll try to translate. 所以我大概来讲一下刚才几位老师分享的非常精彩的一些回答。第一个是Kate 说，他说呢，他在他的营地呢，因为这个是个很难的一个问题。其实这个问题，我想，我跟几位老专家也交流过，这个在中国我们会遇到这样的问题比较多，就是很多员工呢，其实以前是没有营地体验经历的，所以我们如何让他们来了解这个营地是做什么的，或者怎么让他们来知道我们的使命和价值观。Kate 说呢，他在面试当中呢，他一开始呢就不会去所谓的销售他的营地，或者是夸他的营地是最好的地方。当然他认为是最好的地方，但是他会非常真诚的告诉这些老师，就是这个虽然这个工作很美妙，但是也非常难，有非常多艰难的工作呢在等着我们。所以呢，如果你能够愿意跟我一起来度过这些艰难的时刻，那么我欢迎你来加入我。然后还有一个就是他们会做一个叫做 intentional camp， 这是一个非常有名的一个美国的一个 Michael Baldwin 一位营地专家，他说的就是有intentional 就是有意义的，或者有这种指向性的，有这种目标性的夏令营，就是进行一些互动性的学习，让这些导师们呢可以一起来了解你的营地的目标是什么，就是我们刚才所说的使命是什么，然后通过这些晚上的一些项目呢， 来让他们课程的学习呢，让他们一起来更加了解这个营地的工作。那么还有一个其实在北美也比较有重要的或者比较流行的一个导师培训的方法，就是晚上的时候，比如说第2天、第3天晚上，就是如果是老的员工，就是曾经以前在营地里待过的导师，会和新的导师在一起，在篝火旁边或者是在一个吃完晚饭，让他一起聚一起分享一些故事，营地的故事。那么之前的导师可以分享之前的故事，那么新的导师呢可以分享他们的，比如说有一些迷惑呀，或者有一些问题，是吧？这样呢，其实很快呢就可以构建出这样的一种导师之间的一种勾连。那么新导师就和老的导师可以在一起呢，大家可以更好的有一种团队的一种交流，还有更多的一种分享，这样可能对营地的这种使命感会有更加的一个清楚的认识。所以这个其实不仅是营员是家长来口口相传的，其实员工也是口口相传的。就是如果你的员工都是说 OK，我待在这个夏令营是太好了，太棒了，那么可能之后也会更有助于你找到类似的这个好的员工。OK，那么下一个是 Jorgi老师刚才分享的。那么他也提到，就是因为他也来到过中国很多次，他也知道在很多国家呢，这个很多的营地导师是不了解所谓营地的魔法 magic， 营地的魔力。还有一些营地呢，其实包括这个北美的营地会找一些国际的导师。那么这当中呢，就其实还有很多文化的差异，因为我之前也在美国营地里干过，所以我也知道确实有很多文化上的差异。那么这个所以说我们会面临这样的一些导师培训的一些挑战。那么第一个呢，就是 Jorgi 说呢，一个是我们的 camper， 就是我们的营员，后来变成了我们的导师。那这样可能逐渐我们在中国的行业当中也会见到更多这样的，随着时间的推移，有更多这样的营员回到我们的营地当中担任导师，对吧？那么他们来的可能更多的就是因为他们喜欢把这个营地生活持续下去，可能不要钱，是吧？他们可能就是为了我继续在我热爱的这个营地当中来贡献。那么很重要的是跟他们说清楚，改变他们的一个思维方式啊，就是从这个索取变为回报。就是我们不仅要告诉他们，你现在已经不是一个简单的，你不是营员了，你现在是导师的，你需要用你的热情，是吧？需要用你的这个以前的知识啊，来帮助新的营员们啊，这个是非常重要。就是这是一部分，是说我们在内部所谓内部招聘的营地内部招聘的导师。那么第二部分就是外部招聘的导师。那么，跟 Kate 讲的也是一样，非常陡峭的一个学习曲线。我们需要告诉他非常详细的信息，就是你需要干什么，这个工作非常难，是吧？但是呢，周哥也提到，我们同样还要给他，不仅是这种比较可能严肃的，比较更多的一种通知性的，更多的我们要给他一种欢迎的感觉，一种支持的感觉，一种包容性的感觉，就是告诉他。我们欢迎你来啊，欢迎你来到我们的营地当中来。我作为领导或者我作为你的这个营地主任，我会不断的支持你，不断的这个来就是包容你，能够一起把这个营地的价值来打造好。那么还有一个比较重要的一个，或者说可能这个在北美也非常非常流行，就是 mini camp，就是让这个导师就是先做，比如很短时间的，比如说把他们当做营员一样啊，过1-2天的生活，这个也是很好的一个方式，让他们来了解我们的这个营地。最好的培训方式呢，就是一直要提醒我们的导师，就是营员马上就要来了，他们可能7月份就要从学校放暑假就要来了，所以你每天都要告诉他们，你要马上准备好，我们要不断的准备好，不断的去做工作，迎接营员的到来。那么最后呢，就是 Pablo 分享的，他们的营地呢，我觉得很有意思，就是可能对东亚的国家有更有借鉴性啊。他的营地呢分为这个不同的这个部落，每个部落有不同的颜色。那这个营地当中大部分的项目是竞争性的啊，就是所谓的一些项，比如说我们说一个，比如说 老虎部落或者是老鹰部落或者狮子部落这样起一个名字，然后他们会互相竞争，几乎在所有的他们的项目当中都是这种竞争性的。那么，所以他会经常说，我们这个营地就像一个多米诺骨牌啊。什么叫多米诺骨牌呢？就是当你前几个小时或者第一个游戏玩起来的时候，这些导师如果老的导师能够有一个非常好的一个带动作用，啊，大家也知道这个墨西哥人是非常有热情的，是吧？所以这个开始大喊，开始竞争，比如说随便说拔河，比如说啊，然后这个每个导师都为自己的这个队伍嘛，自己的部落是吧？大象营啊，老鹰营啊这样，然后热情大喊啊，其他的这个新员工看到会以为哦这些是非常的 crazy 的人是吧？但是我们发现可能在过2个小时他们也变得 crazy，那所以他觉得这个是非常有能量的一个事情啊，可以让我们把这个整个的营地的氛围调动起来。这样其实也是非常好的一种方法，就是用竞争性的一种方式呢，让这些导师们能够把自己的这个主观能动性充分的调动起来，是吧？然后让这些新的导师也看到，OK，大家都这么有活力，是吧？那他们就会可能非常的自觉的或者不自觉的来加入他们的行列。当然，他最后又加了一个小的一个提示，就是所谓的特许商品。如果你在营地当中你会销售你的特许商品呢，你可以把之前比如说去年的、前年的、大前年的这些老的这些商品给这个新的员工，这样他穿起来呢，也没有人分清了是吧？谁是新来的，谁是老人，对吧？都会觉得都是老人。然后Gaps 的 Camp 会给新的员工就是最好的折扣，或者是第一次来挑选他们商店商品的机会啊，这些都是非常好的方法呢，能够让我们的新的员工或者说不太了解我们营地魔力的新员工，能够很快的融入我们的营地生活的一个非常重要的一些方法啊。我想这几位老师的分享都非常好。OK，that's all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Robert. Within my camp, I teach my staff that camp magic, which is a term that's used often at our camp, happens when a camper feels like they belong. And belonging is very important because when you feel like you belong, you feel safe. And when you feel safe, you feel like you can take healthy risks in front of people. And when we take healthy risks, we learn, we grow so that we can learn and grow and do more things. This is the essence of what happens at a summer camp. And that something special is our staff, the relationships that they bring, their experience, their worldviews, and the archery and the rock climbing and the drama. That's just the vessel that we use to create those experiences. So I do challenge everybody and ask them to think, how do we welcome our campers to camp? How do we welcome our staff? How do we assign seating? How do we get them to pick their activities? Do people feel like they belong when they do these actions within your camp? I would like to say that I took a lot of notes from our panelists today, and because of you, I feel that my camp will feel more belonging to our campers and our staff members. A special thank you to my brothers from another mother, Pablo and Simon, my role model, Georgie, and my bestie, Kate, for being on the panel today and sharing your wisdom with us at ICF Academy. I'll pass it off to Ruth.
谢谢Gaps，也非常感谢今天来参与这次分享的我们的几位嘉宾、专家老师们，因为我们今天的时间就是相对已经比较超时了，所以那个提问和交流我们就留到我们的那个微信群里，后期跟大家进一步的再分享和交流。当然，我们也会在微信群里继续跟大家广而告之我们接下来的 ICF 线上学院的内容。再次感谢几位国际的营地的伙伴们跟我们带来的这些来自他们实践的经验以及知识信息，帮助我们打开了视野，也帮助我们用 不同的角度去看待营地的管理和营地的运营。那接下来呢，我迅速的3分钟跟大家做一下 ICF 的小广告。ICF 欢迎大家成为会员那么就是跟 ICF 有进一步的连接。大家也可以通过在微信群里连接到我们的大 V 老师或者 Casey 老师，或者扫码查看ICF 会员介绍的相关的信息。因为我是 ICF 的中国区域代表，所以其实也是一个志愿者的身份，承担了很多 ICF 的介绍和宣传和推广的工作。所以很多的英文的信息，我的团队都会把它翻译成中文。然后我们希望搭建一个中国的营地伙伴和 ICF 的桥梁，促进这个交流和沟通。然后，后面我们也会翻译 ICF 的简报，让大家就是一段时间就能了解到世界各地整个泛营地行业的一个情况和发展。然后今天的这个小环节是特别我们用心做了一个小的准备，以往都是没有的。那今天呢，因为我们的伙伴们都很热情，然后我们就希望大家后续可以私信我们，或者在群里分享今天你的收获感受，哪怕一个很小很小的，你之前没有听到的，或者今天对你有所启发和启思的一个点都可以。那么我们搜集到大家的这个反馈之后呢，我们也会给大家准备一个小的礼物寄送给大家，神秘礼物那么 ICF 就是如果大家可以通过这个国际的这些社交媒体平台去了解 ICF 的信息也是可以的但是我知道可能都是网络受限，这个就不是特别能够去连接。然后我们有一个 ICF 的中国的一个会员群那么大家也可以扫码加入到这群里，后面我们也可以发到我们今天的这个学习的群里，供大家扫码去加入到这个群。最后的最后，就是大家可以关注萤火传递平台，然后我们的目标和使命就是因为今天大家讲到很多次萤火其实就是我们共同的语言，我们共同的认知。那么我们希望把 ICF 的这个萤火传递给更多人，帮助大家共同建设更好的营地社区，然后去促进青少年的全面的发展。Last one， 最后的最后就是下一期4月初吧，4月18号吧，我会发广告我们会有下一期的 ICF 线上学院，就是我们的第5系列的第6期。会有一个非常特色的 ICF 的中国的 Camp Study Tours， 我们大概有7到8个中国的营地做的一个专访。那也欢迎大家来了解我们在这个项目里呈现出来的就是来自中国不同地方的营地的一个特色。